This is an On-Cam Ready special presentation. Today I am producing in 2 locations through On-Cam Ready. Right now we have a crew following a speaker, and I'm putting together a podcast at a studio here in Atlanta that I cherish. I'll tell you all about it as part of this video, so come on behind the scenes with me on my day in Atlanta. This day turned into 3, and I focus on providing you with some tips on how to be a strong podcast guest and host, as well as batch recording. We did a lot of it. Let's go.
1 minute makeup.
You just need to plan out your day and think like a producer. Right now, we're at Jackson Street Bridge. It is one of the most iconic locations in Atlanta to get that, a city view. The city view of Atlanta is a wonderful opening shot to anything that you're producing in long-form content. If you are creating a vlog or you're putting together a reel and you're showcasing a city, I always recommend that you look for that key location to really see the whole city as a whole. I recently did this with a video for Houston for a client. And what I did was I went early morning so that I could get a night shot and a sunrise shot in the same moment. I highly recommend you time things out so when you are creating your content, you're not standing in direct sunlight like I am right now. I'm a little behind today. All right, so we are going to first start our day at Georgia Tech. I need to drop off a bag of gear for my crew, and then we're gonna go over to Skewed Orbit Studios. Okay, we're now at Skewed Orbit Studios in Atlanta. Got my suit because I'm going to be on the podcast as well as helping produce today. And this location is so beautiful. There's all these green trees. It's also a great spot for you to get photos taken. A lot of people go into the atrium and take wedding photos and headshots. Skewed Orbit is located at the Studioplex. There are residents here as well as shops, so do make sure that you are mindful of noise, but it is a great location in the Old 4th Ward. All right, guys, I'm now hanging my suit up. We are in the studio. I'm waiting for the host, and this is the space that I was telling you guys about. So this is Skewed Orbit Studios. It is a content creation space, as well as you can host events here, but look at where we're podcasting. There's Alex. Hey, Alex. It is such a great space. I'll make sure to ask Alex some questions about the setup. But here's where we are recording the Joyous Edge podcast in Atlanta at Skewed Orbit Studios. And today we'll have about 4 people come through, and then the next 2 days are gonna be jam-packed with people. So I'll try to get some BTS as I am going along. And here we are, day 1. All right, guys, we're in the bathroom now because whenever I'm working with a client and we're producing content, I make sure that we have everything we need in the bathroom. So a curling iron is always there so that we can do some last-minute hair if needed. I also put some makeup remover, Q-tips, just in case people need to apply the makeup that I bring. So I bring like a little Amazon makeup case. In it is some makeup. Let me see if I can do this one-handed, guys. So I bring this case of makeup. And this is what we would also do if we were out in the field shooting content for an anchor on television. And we also bring this little type of go bag with gum, dry shampoo. I also have like an eyeliner, some extra Q-tips, and cotton swabs and pins, as well as dry shampoo and a lint roller. This way we have everything we need in case of emergency. I highly recommend if you're shooting content and you're going out and producing your own without a producer, that you think about these things, especially if you're shooting content on the go. You could put all this in. So while I'm getting the bathroom ready and checking in on guests, Joy, our host, is preparing for those interviews, and Alex is finishing up the setup. So let's talk to them both and get their take on how today is going, as we are batch recording at least 12 episodes in Atlanta over 3 days. And we are going to pour into you on this episode with tons of tips, so stick around.
That was the main.
All right, Alex, what do we got going on?
So right now we're setting up for the Joyous Edge podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Joyous Edge, but it's the greatest podcast of all time. Yeah. I didn't say it, the internet says it. It's undisputed. So I like to use these Rode podcast mics. They're kind of tried and true. So putting those on right now. Beyond that, I've got my Neewer lights. You know, lighting is a tricky thing. A lot of what I've learned with lighting is just trial and error. I will tell you, people think a lot of times, oh, I need a better camera, I need this better camera. You can make something look phenomenal with an iPhone if you know how to light the room properly. So if anyone is trying to invest in a better setup, I would say you want to focus on the L's first: lenses, lighting, and length of the room. The 3 L's is length, lighting, and lenses. So I hope that helps on your journey. I also use the Blackmagic ATEM switcher. It's so that I can record 3 cameras, even actually up to 4 cameras. You can record it at once, and that way when you're doing it, I do live switching in during the shoot, so our editing process is seamless. It makes it much faster, much more efficient. So that's one of the things I like to do.
Now, while Alex is getting the setup together, let's talk to Joy.
Okay.
All right, Joy, what are you doing to record and prepare for your
Yes.
podcast?
So what I'm doing is I'm just reviewing my notes. I have, my team comes up with a 1-page summary that has some of the key topics, some of their links, and I'll look at the links online before I get to the show. But then ahead of time, I just go through, reread the information, refamiliarize myself with each person. Every time we do these bulk days, it can be tough. But it's great because we get a lot of content at once. So by having the pre-sheet ready and available for me to re-review, it helps me with preparing for that speaker and remembering the key points that I wanted to talk about.
And how'd you pick out your outfit?
My outfit is a funny story. I actually, last time I came to Skewed Orbit, my clothes were way too big, and I had to, my producer, Jamie, was like, you're swimming in your suit. You got to get a new one. So I ran to Macy's, got there right before closing, and they actually had it. But I love the pink, and I think it goes well with my skin tone, and the green, and I've got whites and blue shirts too. But yeah, it became the thing for my podcast.
As of this recording, Joy has put together 30 episodes. We've produced episodes in Atlanta, and she's had a team in Nashville. We're also going to complete 10 more. Actually, we'll reach 12 this week before she even launches. So when this episode drops on my YouTube channel, her podcast will have launched. So make sure that you go check out The Joyous Edge. If you are thinking about launching a podcast, you really want to be strategic. Banking a ton of episodes before you launch is a really good idea. But one of the things I stress is you really need to know your message, know your formula, know what you want to get out of each episode. If you're looking for a podcast producer, reach out to OnCam Ready. I also can help you with your visibility strategy to really help you figure out if a podcast is the right move. It might be a newsletter if we really evaluate you and see what your competition's doing. So if you're looking to stand out and you think a podcast is the answer, come to me first. Let's talk through your strategy.
She'll be in the podcast on YouTube.
And I wanted to let you know what's coming up. So after we shot all these videos, I thought I should give you some tips on what to wear for men and women. So I'll use some of the videos I recorded to give you some of those suggestions, so stick around for that. Now remember, I had another crew at Georgia Tech, and here they are. They came over to the podcast studio because one who they were following for his speaker reel and some social media videos is also going to be on the Joyous Edge. So now we wound up shooting.
Go out there.
Content conga line. Listen into our chat.
See, this is producer Jamie. Making sure they're on cam ready.
Everyone.
Have you guys seen those reels where it's like it shows like what the cameraman sees, then it cuts back to the person?
Well, we actually are kind of doing this right now, and
We
you
were
just broke
having
the
a
fourth
joke.
wall.
But yeah, we're all shooting content and trying
much
to have some
content
fun,
can you get if
but
the
also make
content
the
on
most of the shoot. It's all about maximizing your efforts. So one is shooting content for his speaker video, and he really needed some podcast content. He also is a great guest for Joyous Edge. So it worked out. We shot content of them going there, and now both of them can cross-promote each other when Joy's episode drops. Meanwhile, the team remained on location during the shoot to get Juan some more behind-the-scenes footage so he can put together some inspirational videos for his social media platforms. Day one was a big success. The one huge takeaway for you, if you're hosting a podcast, is content. Invest in having people on location that can take content, that can shoot content of your guests, that includes videos and photos, so they have material to use to share about your podcast and also cross-promote when their episodes drop. People want more than just clips, so make sure you give it to them. And now let's head into day two. All right, guys, we're back at the Jackson Street Bridge. This is the second day of shooting in Atlanta for the Joyous Edge podcast. And I'm trying to make the most of my time at the Joyous Edge in Atlanta. So today I'm here with my son, he's recording me, and we are going to shoot some content on the bridge and then back at Skewed Orbit Studios because I have a UGC deal that I have to shoot content for, and I have 2 other YouTube videos plus some reels that I need to get in addition to supporting my clients. So we are going to do a lot today. I'm starting off with my car makeup. So on the bridge, we shot some intros and a demo. If this all sounds like too much to handle, it is. If you're not thinking like a producer and planning it out, it can be really hard to juggle. So you want to make sure that you have a list in mind of what you need to accomplish and you have a schedule in place. When you have a schedule in place and you know what you need to shoot and you know how much time you're going to take to do that, you can make it all fit. So my son and I shot content in the 7 o'clock, 8 a.m. hour. I then met Joy at the studio around 9:30 each morning. And on our second day there, I did have a 2-hour break. But during that time, my son and I actually shot some content because he has celiac disease. And those reels did really well on TikTok. So we did shoot some content that did well on TikTok. Our goal is for him to land some brand deals. So when you're thinking like a producer and you're planning everything out, you do need to make time for some downtime, but you also want to maximize and make the most of every hour you have on location so you can get a lot of content and you're not stressing out after the fact. I don't go into Atlanta very often, so when I do, I really try to make sure I utilize my time there. All right, let's give some tips on batch recording. Whenever you're batch recording podcast episodes, you want to budget about an hour per guest for a half-hour interview and 2 hours per guest for an hour-long interview. If you schedule everything out accordingly and you have a rough estimate of how much time you need per guest, you should have an easy flow. But you do need to make sure that you budget in downtime as well as breaks and lunch. If you are there for over 8 hours, you need to make time for a lunch break. And if you're the host, I always recommend that you buy lunch for the crew. And other tips on batch recording is you want to have a lot of preparation done before you arrive on location. So interviewing every guest, making sure you have one sheets, questions, intros, and a rough idea as to how you want each episode to go is really important. You also need a formula. Joy is still figuring out her formula at this point, but she has some repeat questions that she's constantly asking. Now, I promised I would offer you some guest tips, so if you're going to be a guest on a podcast, you need to make sure that you know your talking points. You've researched the show and you know the show's colors. Here's why. You want to show up and compliment that host and really help be an asset to the on-set experience. So, Joy leans into pinks, and every guest wore a complementary color to her suit. And this was a great example for what men should wear, a nice blue suit. I highly recommend you avoid black. You don't want to wear black when you're on camera because it actually makes you look a little bit heavier, and in a lot of cases, you blend in with the set. So what I recommend is you follow what these individuals did. The man, he wore a blue suit. That's solid choice. These 2 women are wearing complementary color, and guess what, guys? Everyone was wearing like a nude or a clear shoe. That really helps you look pretty much polished on stage as well as on camera. So I always recommend that people invest in nude colored shoes. Many people don't realize that podcasts, in most cases, if they're in person, are now on camera. So you always have to come camera ready. When you are coming camera ready, you always want to think about your whole look as a whole, and even your colors should represent your own brand. Follow along for more tips as I continue to vlog. We just wrapped the third day of the Joyous Edge podcast. I hope these tips helped you prepare for your own podcast, your own batch recording session. Now I'm going to go interview Joy, and you can watch that conversation on my own podcast, Unknown to Known. And if you're looking for a studio in Atlanta, check out Skewed Orbit. I'll have their link in the description. Thanks, guys.